Hello there, my name is Lawrie Brewster. I am CEO of Hex Studios, a horror studio which makes feature films and distributes them as well, ourselves and in partnership with companies around the world. And I would like to introduce you to our team, which includes Sam Ashurst.
Hello.
Yes. What do you do, Sam?
I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm an editor, I'm a cinematographer, and I used to write for various publications about film and interview people like David Lynch, David Cronenberg, Quentin Tarantino, but now I'm here with the masterful Lawrie Brewster.
You haven't interviewed me before.
Well, I feel like every conversation with you is sort of like an interview.
Yeah.
Trying to find out what goes on in that brain.
And Tom Staunton.
Hello, how's it going? I'm a writer-director and I am also a crewman for Hex Media.
Yay. Hex Studios and Hex Media. We go by kind of both names. Yeah, thanks, Tom. Now I've had to explain all that. But for you guys, it's Hex Studios because it gets really confusing if I have to make the corporate distinctions between both entities in every conversation. So these guys are a big part of our family. They are part of the family at Hex Studios. But two very important people who aren't in this video, our first video, are Michael Brewster, who is a strange, creepy, long-limbed man who is excellent at post-production. He is our VFX CGI whiz-kit. And my partner and boss, Sarah DALY, who is an incredible scriptwriter whose scriptwriting achievements have seen her work performed at the LA Orpheum Theatre by Gary Oldman, Anne Hathaway, Channing Tatum, and has produced scripts and films that have been shown at Sundance and South by Southwest. Some might say she is the brains of the outfit, and me, the face.
And me.
And Sam, the second face. Like a two-headed, disfigured child crawling through the dirt in a dystopian wasteland, and that wasteland being independent film. So, I hope that gives you a sense of who we are, and in this video series, we are going to be giving you guys intimate access to our adventures, traumas, dilemmas, and dramas as we produce independent horror movies, and on the business side as well, in terms of distributing them and developing Hex Studios into an incredible international horror film studio that might hopefully follow in the footsteps of British greats like Hammer and Amicus. In this first video, we'll be exploring our adventures at Glasgow FrightFest.
And we had a lot of adventures and met a lot of cool people.
Yes, we did. You're in this video going to get a chance to meet
Joe Begos.
And Paddy Murphy.
And
Nicholas Vince.
And
the organisers of FrightFest.
yeah.
Paul and Alan and Ian and Greg and Alvin, Simon, Theodore and
Yeah. I don't think Alan's there, but maybe Alvin, Simon and Theodore.
we might have a picture to cut away to Alan.
Yeah.
And you might be wondering what Glasgow FrightFest is. Just very quickly, FrightFest is a major genre film festival in the UK. Its longest, in fact, and probably biggest. Well, in fact, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's the biggest genre film festival in the UK and one of the biggest in the world. And in Glasgow, in Scotland, they hold a second event, which is in liaison with the Glasgow International Film Festival. So guys, without further ado...
Yeah, so come along, join us as we explore FrightFest and let's see who's around.
Yeah, we're going to see who's around, Sam.
Yay!
Yeah.
Right.
Well, is it goodbye?
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
So, just so you remember, I'm a film producer. And
I'm a film director. We are not journalists.
No, we're not journalists.
We're not vloggers.
Yeah. I'm not saying fuck journalists,
Or fuck vloggers.
just we are filmmakers. Hopefully talking to other filmmakers, festival organisers, and interesting people around the world, and in our office sometimes talking about film. Okay, I guess it's goodbye now.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah, the camera's here, but I keep looking there. I'm sorry, guys.
We'll get used to
there's
it.
a big red button on the phone, so, and the production standard is intentionally lo-fi. Our movies are amazing.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Oh, look, Sam, it's the Glasgow Film Theatre, the venue for the Glasgow FrightFest festival.
Yes, shall we go inside and see who's about?
Yes,
Yeah!
let's do that. Da-da-da. Da-da-da.
Should we go on the red carpet?
Oh yeah, the red carpet, that looks good.
Come down. There's a Mars bar up there.
Uh-huh.
The glamour.
This is the glamour of Scotland. And I'm quite proud of Scotland, that's how we do it. So here we go. Oh, Cafe Crucio. And then here we have it. Hi there, Sam, and hi there, Joe Begos.
What's up?
This is a candid interview, but not really an interview. It's kind of a conversation. This is me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we wrote down some amazing questions for you, Joe, but then we decided that they're kind of shit and that we shouldn't subject you to them. Joe Begos is the director of Bliss and VFW. He is one of the most awesome and exciting independent filmmakers on the scene right now. Kind of because he's bringing back 80s exploitation cinema to a rather sensitive audience of the present age. So Sam, do you have any questions for Joe at all?
Well, yeah, how do you feel about the current kind of filmmaking environment? Social media, you're very good on social media. What do you think about that world?
I don't know. I think that it's we're in a weird time where a lot of horror is too politicized, and also I feel like movies just become too safe, and it's like everything's overexposed, blown out ghost stories that don't have any balls. I do think that there are people who are making movies that aren't necessarily that, but unfortunately, it's like a very niche thing. Although you got stuff like The Lighthouse and Midsommar coming out in theaters, which are cool, bucking the trend. But yeah, I think it's like becoming easier to make movies, but it's becoming harder to become recognized, and it's also becoming harder to like make unsafe movies, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's not becoming harder to do that, but people are just a little more cautious about doing it. That makes sense.
And what kind of unsafe movies, like, that you kind of grew up on that you'd like to see a return to? Because that's really interesting.
I mean, I'd love to see a return of movies like Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
Crimes of Passion, shit like that. Obviously the hardcore horror stuff I'm into as well. I feel like though, like horror, there's still, even though a lot of stuff has gotten safe, there's still really cool horror movies being made in other countries, and like, but the erotic thriller has really disappeared completely.
There's no sex in movies
Yeah.
anymore. Like, it's completely absent.
Yeah.
Like, it's really strange.
I saw an interview with David Cronenberg recently where he says he doesn't really want to make movies in this climate because the sexuality of movies has been lost, and they're just like, there's no eroticism in movies, which is true. I mean, I live in a state of mind where I want to be continuously sensationalized by images and material, and movies just aren't doing that as much as they used to. You really have to dig for it, and that's unfortunate that stuff's not on the forefront,
Yeah.
I feel like among people like us, somebody like Gaspar Noé is obviously considered a genius, but like I feel like in the 70s he would have been a fucking Academy Award nominated director,
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
and now he's on the
100%.
fringes of the niche world.
Yeah.
In America, anyway.
Yeah, funny, just to add, like, talking briefly there about like Midsommar and The Lighthouse, and that these are horror films that are often perceived as the pedigree of artistic achievement. But and I see this as a slightly arty filmmaker, as you know, I just find them a little bit wanky. What I like about your stuff is that it's not wanky. It has obvious artistic pretensions, which it achieves, especially with Bliss. I mean, Bliss manages to express the journey of an artist and the psychological journey, but it does it with this kind of woke Instagram vibe that just makes it feel so self-indulgent that it would be like watching a filmmaker masturbate in a bathroom mirror. And your film isn't like that. It lets us all share an experience together.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need to answer that, Joe.
Yeah,
That's
I was
just
trying to figure out what the question was.
that's just a perverse statement. Can you tell us a little bit about your life as an independent filmmaker? Like, what's it been like from where you started and to where you've got to now as a kick-ass success?
Honestly, it doesn't feel much different. I'm still struggling to find money to make movies. I still have roommates. It's it's cool to see people. I guess the coolest thing is coming to these festivals, and it's like you do now sort of, because you're 4 movies in, have, I don't want to say it's like a legacy, but you have like a filmography or a group of movies that people can watch, and like it's been interesting too, since I feel like Bliss and VFW have blown up considerably much more than my first 2 movies. People are now going back and watching those movies, and it like almost recontextualizes, because people, as like scrappy and weak as my earlier movies are, now that people have seen better stuff, they can go back and recontextualize that. And it's like interesting to see reviews pop up on Letterboxd for my older movies, where it's like, having seen Joe's newest movies and then watching this, it's, whereas when they came out, they're like, oh, I'll never make a movie again. But then like when you have that actual group of movies for people to watch, they can almost track a through line on them. And I think that that's really cool. Like, that's been interesting to see, and it makes me just want to build that, make as many movies as possible. And I used to have this, I don't want to say I used to have this idea or hypothesis, but I used to feel like every movie you've made needs to be like a monumental step up from the last one. And I sort of still feel like that, but I don't feel like it's necessarily budgetary wise like I used to, because Bliss is half the budget of Mind's Eye, and then you read reviews of it and people are like, Joe, Begos finally has a budget, this and that. I'm like, no, I just failed at some stuff and then like figured out how to improve it.
Totally.
And that's also another thing, is making independent movies where I'm in charge of everything. When I fail at something, I can learn from my mistakes, where if you make a movie and you fail at something because of other people's decisions, you're not going to learn from those mistakes. So I feel like I've been able to kind of nurture my craft a little bit more, because I'm so heavily involved in and responsible for every decision made.
And I think another kind of element, because I'm very big on the legacy thing as well. Like my first 2 movies, very low budget, but they're kind of moving up. And I just want a IMDb page that I'm always going to be proud of, type thing. But the other thing that appeals to me about filmmaking, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but I've made some of the best friends of my life making films. On the crew, like the people that kind of I repeat work with, because we share that passion for film. Is it the same for you? Like, do you have like a gang that you go from movie to movie with?
Yeah, for sure. And because my movie making's been my whole life. Even when I was like a kid, Josh, my partner, my filmmaking partner, he's been there since the start. So it's like my life is so ingrained in film that it's just basically my social life too. So all my friends that I hang out with in non-filmmaking situations are the people that I make movies with, and that's why it's important to bring them along, not only because they're more invested in the movie and they do feel, like we are a collaborative making this movie. It also makes me look better because they know exactly what I want. They can execute that better. It makes them look better because, everybody's work kind of elevates from that. And when you're making a movie and you got 18 days to pull something off, it's fucking hard, it's shitty, and if you're going to be in the trenches under stressful situations, you want to be there with, if you're there with people who are really good friends of yours, who have your back, that kind of makes it all easier. I can't imagine going in and doing some nightmare, really stressful, devastating shoot, and I'm kind of in there alone and a bunch of people, because when you go into a situation, you don't really know where the trust lies or what people, are there for, and it's like hard to rely on people for certain things, because, but when you're a filmmaking collective, it's like you're an actual collective. It's almost like I consider Channel 83 like my band. Every movie's an album.
Yes,
Trying
love
to keep
it.
the same members through,
Love it.
So
cool.
It's not just the singer in 25 years.
We just have a couple of questions left for you, Joe. One of them is what tips you would give to aspiring independent filmmakers, because one of the things that is fucking awesome about Joe is that he does everything. Like, he is on camera, he is like producing films, he's making films, he's doing everything. This is a man that is in the trenches. That's the first question. Tips for indie filmmakers. And the second is, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
Never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I have seen the New Line Cinema adaptation of Jeremy Irons, and it was not good. And also, I think, was it the kid from Child's Play 3's in it too? Justin Whalen, maybe?
He needs the work,
So no, I've never played it. My tips for independent filmmakers would be that you just need to go make the fucking movie.
Yes.
That's how I did it, and I knew that I wasn't a good enough writer to sell a script to Hollywood. I knew I wasn't a good enough writer to go out and get $3 million. So I saw what I had on my credit card and my bank account, and I went and made Almost Human for exactly that amount of money. And I learned a lot in the process, you know, because I didn't go to film school. You know, I know some people do, but I considered it like, this is my student loan debt if the movie doesn't sell, and at least I have a movie that I can show what I've done to hopefully get me more work. And I think that it's always better to have a feature that's maybe not everything you wanted, but shows that you can execute and deliver a feature than having a script with a lot of ideas saying you need $5 million. Like, it's always better to have something to show, even if it's not exactly what you want. And there's too many people who are waiting for the perfect amount of money or the perfect script, and it's like, it's never gonna come. And when it does come, wouldn't you rather have greased your chops a little more so you could finally pull it off? Like, you know, I went and made Bliss right before VFW, and it had been a few years, and while they're so much different, I feel like just the fact of making Bliss made me execute things in VFW so much stronger, because I learned things on Bliss that I was able to put into play on VFW. And if VFW was my first movie, I would have drowned, like, you know, because I'm not there, and you know, I wouldn't know how to deal with those situations that I've dealt with before. And now there's money and actors around and actual people like that. You don't want to fuck up then. You want to fuck up when it's you and your friends, you know. So you're gonna fuck up as an indie filmmaker no matter what. So make sure you do it in the smallest scale possible first.
Amazing.
Thanks so much for speaking to me and Sam, Joe. I can't say it's like, thanks for talking to Blah Blah TV, because it's just me, fat Scottish guy, and Sam. So, okay. Okay, I've returned because I needed to put more hairspray on to keep my hair from sliding forward. Not that it's fake, it's real hair, but just... So, Joe Begos was a nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely lovely guy. Very down to earth, very cool, very open, very honest, as you saw from that interview there. And we enjoyed his film, didn't we, Lawrie? VFW.
Yeah, VFW totally kicked ass. I mean, I really enjoyed it as well. It's been compared to Assault on Precinct 13, but it has its own kind of anarchic punk vibe, which is a little different to that. It's got this cool nihilistic dark edge, and it's cool to see a film like that produced by such a really nice, compassionate guy. You wouldn't think the director in the film.
Yeah, no, I guess, yeah, that's an interesting point. And he kind of reminds me of Charlie Steeves from the UK, in that, like, he is so passionate about his films. Like, he's the camera operator on his films, and Charlie's shot his films as well.
Yeah, Charlie Steeves is a director, an independent filmmaker as well. Director of the BARGE people, and like Joe Begos, these are guys who are like toolboxes.
Yeah.
They handle anything, they make everything, they do everything. And as an independent filmmaker, that is perhaps the most important skill of all.
Yes, I agree. I'm a big fan of William Sadler, and I was very glad to see him in this. Yeah.
Well, William Sadler wasn't in VFW.
He was.
He was, actually.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing that Charlie and Joe share is that their films have such a strong, unique tone. They could only be made by Charlie or Joe, and we need more filmmakers like that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you also have to be like that, though, to survive in the current industry. So those young people who can do camera, art direction, editing, writing, everything, these are the ones that will survive the independent film holocaust currently taking place.
And they are the ones that will be remembered and will have a legacy because their voice is so strong, because they're doing all those individual elements. The voice is so pure, and the vision and the taste is so strong. So, you know, do not be afraid if you're a fledgling filmmaker of training yourself in editing, training yourself how to shoot. All of these things will help you out on set. Being a director these days is not just about turning up and telling other people what to do.
Oh yeah, exactly. Nobody needs a director / wedding planner flapping their arms about saying left of it. Those days are gone, and especially in the independent film. So after speaking to Joe, who we love, Joe Begos, and VFW incidentally, you can check out now on all major VOD platforms, though we would recommend buying the Blu-ray
Yes.
because we are massive fans and supporters of fancy physical media.
Yeah, as soon as VFW comes out on Blu-ray, snap it up quickly because Bliss, the last release, which came out on Eureka with a lovely slipcase and poster and all sorts, that sold out incredibly quickly. So yeah, Joe is a really exciting talent to watch, and just make sure you keep an eye out for that Blu-ray.
Sure, and Bliss was the film that Joe directed before VFW, and it is also a crazy psychedelic 80s, 70s-esque exploitation, hallucinogenic nightmare that we loved.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we spoke to the organisers at Glasgow FrightFest in a series of 2 interviews. The first, it was between Sam and the organisers Greg Day and Paul McAvoy. Greg organises communications and publicity with FrightFest, and Paul is an important programmer and flamboyant character.
Yeah, lovely guys. Let's have a little look at what they had to say.
Wow, here we are in FrightFest headquarters. Oh my god, with our host Sam Ashurst.
Hey Lawrie, hey Sam.
How's it going?
I've got
We're
as you can see, we're
Paul McAvoy.
Let's squeeze you guys up a bit closer as well. More intimate.
so, we'll get one of those in, and we'll.
No.
So, I'm Sam Ashurst, and I am joined by 2 of my favourite people in the world, Greg Day and Paul McAvoy, 2 of the head honchos, founders of FrightFest. And yeah, how's it going so far? We're almost at the end of the
Good,
line.
yeah, we've just as we speak, we've just put in a full screening of St Maud, which has got the big premiere now, and it's fantastic. So yeah, it's all going good.
yeah, we we like the ups and downs, so
Yeah.
you don't want it to be too smooth.
Yeah.
We want it plain sailing. So yesterday was brilliant. Today, a few hiccups, but
And what's for you is the biggest difference in terms of atmosphere at Glasgow FrightFest?
This is how FrightFest used to be. When we first started London, everybody was in one film at one time.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful, unique, shared audience experience, which the London one is so huge now. I always liken it to Glastonbury, got 5 days with 5 films at any given time playing. This one, the whole audience were watching the same thing at the same time. Coming out and going, loved that, hated it, whatever, everything in between. It's just great to have everybody in one room.
it's more intimate.
And it's a brilliant cinema. I mean, the sound and the picture quality in the GFT, the Glasgow Film Theatre, is astonishing. The sound is just brilliant.
Yeah, from my point of view, August could be a nightmare because it's bigger. Lots of guests, lots of celebrities, media walk can get really intense.
And also, even having the minutes that we're speaking now, as you know, during London, we're being pulled every which way but loose because there's always something we have to do. Do you know what I mean? Whereas here, we still got a lot to do, but we can relax a little bit more.
And obviously you have some absolutely huge films here. You just mentioned St Maud, which is going to be a really big one. A lot of people's end of year lists. You've got VFW from Joe
Begos, which is tonight, yes.
But you also have smaller films as well.
Like Ghost Waits, which blew everybody away last night, which is that was the world premiere, and a beautiful discovery for us, and a beautiful film. It's a lot.
Yeah, because no one expects people to cry at FrightFest,
But we all did. That was the one.
Unless it's
film.
from fear.
Like all 4 of us, myself and Alan Jones and even RATTRAY, we were just totally moved by it.
It's one of the few rare films that we all 4 agreed that we liked.
Yes. Well, actually, a lot with St Maud, you haven't seen it yet.
No.
So it's me and Alan that chose it. We don't all have to see everything.
No.
Well, obviously, me and Alan have to see everything, but your job isn't that, is it?
No.
You do the PR.
Yeah. My job's to
Amongst
keep him
many
mentally sane. Basically.
Ish. Yeah.
That's a full-time job, by the way.
And these little videos are kind of aspiring filmmakers. Basically, we're filmmakers, we're doing it for other filmmakers. And one of the kind of beautiful things about FrightFest is, and one of the sort of challenging things, I guess, for you guys, because you say, you watch everything. Anyone can submit.
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, we encourage first-timers to do that, from shorts to features. So if you've got a film, please send them to us via Film Freeway, whether it's short film or a feature length, and it's horror, science fiction, fantasy and thriller. So it's a big, broad church. It doesn't have to be blood and guts. Obviously blood and guts is fine, but it doesn't have to be that.
No, in fact, this year already, without giving anything away, I think we've got more than half a dozen from Film Freeway already.
Yeah, and some brilliant stuff.
And each year,
Each year,
I think there's more. Filmmakers got more confidence to submit stuff as well. Or they just find it easier, maybe, so it just every year, just the selection gets more varied, more diverse.
And also, if you look back over the 21 years now, we've shown like 1,500 films. I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
And last year at Glasgow, you showed Here Comes Hell, and it made the leap to London as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
How does
Fantastic
it
film.
feel when you find a gem like that?
Absolutely, beyond excited and beyond because
what makes it worthwhile?
So, for example, with like Ghostways or Here Comes Hell, didn't know the filmmakers. They came through the Film Freeway, watched the film, emailed them immediately, like as soon as I loved it, and then I can't wait to share that with the audience.
Yeah. It's a bit like treasure hunting. And so when you find something that's
like sifting
really a gem, it's like, it's the feeling is that it kind of takes away all the hard work, all the effort sort of melts away because you think, oh wow, this is amazing discovery. It is like, that's why we have discovery. So discovery strands are actually now more as sought after than the main screen.
But then some stuff that's come through on Film Freeway that we programmed for August is good enough
to
actually show on like the main screen, even though they're unknown films. But it's difficult. I mean, I'd like to show everything on like the main screen, but I think the discovery strands work just as well. I mean, that's sometimes the perfect home for new discoveries.
Absolutely, those screens have their kind of own atmosphere. My film Frankenstein's Creature played in Discovery.
Perfect.
Last year, Charlie Steed's The Barge people played there, and that's rock and roll, and really great Q&A afterwards. I guess one of the most important questions to ask is what can indie filmmakers do to kind of make their film stand out? Like, what are you kind of...
That's a massive question. There's no easy answer to it.
What would you tell them to
I would
avoid?
just say...
Don't be cliche.
I think in terms of shorts specifically, if you're going to make short, do please try and keep them short.
Yes.
8 to 12 minutes or less. Don't bore us, get to the chorus. Don't make it 17 or 21, although they've got their place, but it's very difficult from a programming perspective to put in anything that's over 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say don't be afraid to be original. Don't be afraid to make the film that you want that's inside you. You can have reference points, but the danger is you get safe by looking at a carpenter, thinking, I'll kind of use those as my nuts and bolts.
One other key bit of advice, and I think this applies especially to shorts, but also to features. At the very least, doesn't matter about the budget, get an on-set photographer. So when you submit the films to us, be it a short or be it a feature, have
the assets.
Not behind the scenes stuff. It doesn't matter. I don't want to see pictures of you directing. I want to see high quality, high res, still images. It makes your job a hell of a lot easier.
And of course, if you want to sell the
that's a cheap
film,
bit of advice, but it's
no, that's great. No
so
one ever
necessary.
think of that.
So necessary.
Well, when I was a unit publicist, it was quite normal for filmmakers to put in the budget some money for someone like me to come along and then get a photographer and do all that and do a press back.
And even obviously people can't afford it, but even if it's just half a day, just get one, a key day of key sequences. Get somebody in for a couple of hours that can take high-res photos of the action, not people directing the action, the action.
And potential distributors actually take that into account. You've got all the assets sorted out. It can swing, can make a difference because they go, oh, great, that's sort of easier for us, cheaper for us, and we've got all the ideas we need for marketing and PR already in front of us.
And we're not talking high-res screen grabs, actual photographs.
And we're almost done, just a couple more questions. Obviously, you've had some huge names at FrightFest. Like the first year I went, I think it's in 2002, Christopher Nolan was knocking around. You've had Edgar Wright, Guillermo del Toro.
He was quite well known then, wasn't he?
All sorts.
And to be fair,
And
me
Lawrie Brewster,
and Sam as well. But the director of one of the quickest films to sell out at FrightFest, if I recall, Frankenstein's creature.
He managed to buy all the
And
tickets.
I think I was the one that championed it the most.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you to both of you because Paul, your support of Hell's Garden,
absolutely,
and of Frankenstein's creature as well. Like literally, without you guys, I wouldn't have a career and I wouldn't be making films. And so, my question to you is: present company accepted, Lawrie and me. Who are you kind of most proud of, or not most proud, but some of the people that you've championed who have gone on to have other careers?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. You go first. I've got to think about
Well,
that because there's so many.
I mean, look, you're right. We've screened a lot of short films and a lot of features where people have gone on to do things. But with myself, it's all about the now, or the August, or the support. So like Rose Glass, who knows what she's going to deliver next, whether she'll stay within genre or not. So it's for me, I don't really look back on the stuff, I always look forward.
Yeah, that's great.
I think, but there's two people that come to my mind simply because you like them, and because if you meet them and you like them, it's sort of. So I mean, Simon Rumley for me. I always, because when I first knew
Living in the Dead.
Living in the Dead. I mean, that was brilliant, but to see him kind of just his career grow and for me, just because I like him as well, Howard Ford, funny enough, because local Brighton boy, makes all his own.
No, he's just on the Adventure Boys.
I mean, it's not all the films may not be of the highest quality, but you can see that he keeps trying and wanting, and it's in his heart and mind to always make movies. And that those sorts of people, the ones with the passion and the commitment, because sometimes you can have someone come to FrightFest with a film, but it could be the only film that they have in them, and then it just all dies away. And I mean, so you can tell when, because the person carries it, they're not just a filmmaker. As a person, they love the genre. So Simon and Howard, but there's lots more in there.
Well, as I said, 1500. It's difficult to pick favourites, but we've obviously got. Here Comes Hell, loved it. I'm hoping they're going to go and do something else. Can't wait to see it. Or maybe they won't, but I'm sure they will. And Sam Ashurst, of course. And Lawrie Brewster.
That's how we get the movies, because we are the ones that we almost forced you to give it to us. Because,
But also, not only that, there is. I've said this 100 times, but there's no nepotism. So if you do make something that I don't like, or to be honest with you, it's not about my personal taste. It's more about what we think the audience are going to get out of it. We don't want to show something where we know it's going to be or play badly. But then sometimes things really break with expectations. So again, with Simon Rumley, the Living in the Dead, I love that film. I thought it was actually quite a difficult film. So Alan Jones championed that specific movie, and he was right. It played great. Whereas I found it very, very disturbing.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And last question, just in case there's anyone watching this who has never been to FrightFest before, and we're going to put a link up for August and everything. What can they expect from the August event?
Or if they haven't had a film submitted, or as a member of the
if they've never been before.
I think, come for one film, or come for one day, or come for the entire weekend. Just if you've not been, just dip your toe into it. It's the friendliest and best atmosphere. I mean, there's nothing comparable to it, or very, very few other events as comparable to that incredible family atmosphere.
Yes, I just echo that. I think people sometimes, it's a paradox. People might think, well, I love horror films, but I'm a bit shy, a bit introverted. But actually, that's allowed.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh yeah, you have to be part. You have to go out and get. You don't have to do that if you don't want. You can come to FrightFest and you will find people that empathise with you, because there are lots of different groups and diversity of people there. So it is like a rock. I mean, it is
it's like a music festival.
Yes.
Yeah. But also, it's like you guys probably haven't met before FrightFest existed as well. So it breeds you know,
For filmmakers, you're
creative
right.
community, etc.
You're so right, because the filmmakers kind of hang out with the audience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
filmmakers make
yeah.
connections with other filmmakers, and you look at Paddy Murphy, who was ready to give up filmmaking,
Yeah.
and then he met Joe Lynch, and they had that conversation about just keep going, and you know, The Perished, he made that, and then that played at FrightFest is kind of an amazing ecosystem for filmmakers.
That's very important actually, because what we do is we don't create barriers between the audience and the filmmakers, and some filmmakers or their PRs do get a bit anxious about that.
Yeah.
Where's your where's the champagne? Where's this? Where's that? And of course,
Yeah, where's the champagne? Actually, you come to think of it, yeah.
We've got water.
Got tap water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, but you know, we treat the filmmakers with respect, but we also, they know now, of course, after 20 years, but we make sure that they know that that is what they're buying into, so that there's not this unnecessary sort of, no, because some filmmakers have been nervous and shy. I understand that, so we accommodate them,
Yeah.
but there is nowhere to hide, and of course, if you're not hiding your film away, why hide yourself away?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
We
you.
love you. We love you.
Everybody
both.
there.
Bye!
Thank you.
Bye, Greg!
Bye.
After Sam's interview with Greg and Paul, I had the pleasure to speak to Ian RATTRAY, who is also an important programmer at FrightFest and one of the main technical operations chaps. He's a great friend of mine and a big supporter of our work. It was a pleasure speaking to him. We are recording. Oh my goodness. Well, I am very proud to introduce all of you watching this video to a very good friend of mine, Ian RATTRAY, who is one of the founders of FrightFest, the most exciting genre film festival in the UK. And we're here in Glasgow, which is just another of the FrightFest events, which is run in liaison with the Glasgow International Film Festival. And Ian, like me, is a fellow Scotsman.
Yeah, certainly am. Born and bred in Dundee.
Aye.
Aye.
So folks, if you're watching this, first of all, if you've never submitted to FrightFest, do so, because FrightFest has got a premier reputation as one of the festivals that is the most welcoming to independent filmmakers around the world.
Keep going.
And also, as a personal shout out to Ian, his support for Hex and for the films that we've made has been instrumental in helping us reach a wider audience. So I really appreciate that.
Hey, but, you know, the reason we show your films is they're worth showing. You know, as much as I think we're a good friend, you make a crap film, I'm not showing it.
Of course, I never make a crap film. Mediocre, we just get past the
Mediocre. That was a word you used the other night. I haven't heard mediocre for a long time.
So, Ian, you've been running FrightFest for about
21 years.
21 years. What's that journey been like?
Well, it's been fun. It's been amazing. It has its ups and downs, what's been good about it is the people I've met along the road. People like yourself, Sam sitting over there.
Let's have a look at
But I always remember Sam. There was, I think it was actually in Cannes, and I'd watched his film, and he knew I didn't like it, but he was gentleman enough to come up to me and he says, you know, that's okay.
You know,
and a lot of filmmakers will take umbrage and they never talk to you again. But he said, you know, that's okay. And I respect him for that. But still don't like film.
Frankenstein's Creature available now on Hex.
Yeah, just one of our fabulous products with that, winning endorsement from Ian Ratt. But you know, what you're saying though is exactly it. Like, having the humility as a filmmaker to respect the programmer's opinion enough and not to be so egotistical, especially when you're making your first few films. I mean, filmmakers spend a lifetime learning their craft, and they don't do it alone. They do it with feedback from experts, such as programmers who spend their lives watching films.
Yeah.
And, programmers only want to help filmmakers.
So how do you, because what always strikes me about filmmakers, you've got to live with rejection.
Yeah.
So how do you handle it?
Well, I mean, I just watched Sam trying to pull at the bar, and I find that it's a spiritual experience that helps me come to terms with my own cinematic trials and tribulations. You know, it's a bit like acting as well. Like actors, they live with rejection far more than even filmmakers do. You know, with all their auditions. Filmmakers, I guess we're a special brand of psychotic, narcissistic egomaniac. We always assume our films are masterpieces to some extent, and it takes a certain level of experience and awareness to realise that the reason it wasn't accepted isn't because the programmer wasn't smart enough to understand your masterpiece, but that it's because you still have some road to go.
No, I can perfectly understand that, because say you spend a year making this thing, and the more you watch it, it's like anything. I do a bit of designing, and when you're designing something, you look at it so often, you become blind.
Oh yeah,
And you miss the obvious. So I would imagine it would be the same with films. You know, you watch it so often, you invest so much into it, that in the end, you almost brainwash yourself into thinking, well, yeah, this is good, when it's paid. Yeah, that's my thought.
No, I mean, this is it. Filmmaking can be a really insular activity, and you're right. It's when it suddenly breaks out into the big wide world. It's only then that you finally discover, you know, just how wide and nuanced the reactions can be. One of the great things about Ian is that you've always been really candid with your opinions, but at the same time, though, Ian's also pioneered First Bloods at FrightFest, which is giving independent filmmakers like myself, Sam Ashurst, and so many of my friends and peers in the film industry their chance to get their features shown at a big festival like FrightFest.
Can I just say one
Wait,
thing?
this guy wants to say something. Oh God, here we go.
Just for the record, Frankenstein's creature did not play First Bloods because Ian hated it. However, it was the first film to sell out at FrightFest that year, and it was compared to Bergman and Tarkovsky in the Q&A afterwards. Back to these guys.
Yeah, it did sell out at FrightFest, but to be fair, it played in the restroom, so there was only 4 allocated seats, if I remember. Most of them with closed cubicle doors, but yeah.
Well, you know, talking of First Blood, which your film played in.
The Unkindness of Ravens at Shepherd's Bush.
Bush, yes. We never used to show films like that.
Yeah.
Because we always went for the big studio stuff and stuff like that. But Liam's film, Banjo.
Oh, My Bloody Banjo, yeah,
Yeah.
Liam Regan, another fantastic independent filmmaker.
Mike Hewitt and I went to see it in Cannes, and it was almost 2 hours long and frankly unwatchable.
Right.
And afterwards we were standing outside talking to him, and I said to him, you bring me, you know, we explained to him what we thought needed to be done to it, and I said to him, if you bring that back at under an hour and a half, I'll show it. And he was good to us, so when he went off and he brought it back at 86 minutes, so we showed it. And that year, that was the first film to sell out.
Wow.
And it made me think. And then there was a web series I wanted to include in FrightFest, and Alan and Paul just would have nothing to do with it. They said, you're not showing that. So I was desperate that I wanted to put it in, so I had to come up with a reason to get it in. So I came up, thinking about Liam's film and getting this web series, and I came up with First Blood. And then you were part of the first season.
Yeah.
And every
an
film
honour.
in that season, every film bar one, and there were 4 seasons so far, has picked up distribution.
Oh, that's brilliant. And you consider just how important like a premiere event like FrightFest is, you know, for distributors to consider your product to get out there, and it's an instrumental change. Of course, you've made a huge impact on Hex's fortunes, but it's wonderful to think of the differences you've made to so many other filmmakers, including Liam. So Liam Regan, we'll be interviewing him at another event soon. But My Bloody Banjo, it got a second lease of life, and funnily enough, he's done a recent re-edit of that film as well, which is even tighter and better. Also, with the web show, so Ian was showing pieces of a web show series before feature films that were playing at a festival as well, which was great because those kind of storytellers wouldn't normally get their content shown at a festival either.
No, because I remember when the web series come in, I was on holiday in Portugal, and I was sitting in a cafe having a coffee, laughing out loud, and everybody looking at me like I was some type of lunatic, you know.
That's brilliant.
But there we go. But you know, what are you up to these days? Because you know, I don't see you as often as I would like, but you know, so
Just got out of prison, really. It's the new suit, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, the hair's gone.
You might not be aware of this for those of you watching at home, but I used to look more like a fat Joe Begos. But now, now I look like a corrupt Scandinavian businessman. So that's an exciting change, you know.
What comes to mind is I was listening to a podcast yesterday called Shady People from a Sunny Place.
Yeah, well, Scotland's not such a so shady people from an unsunny place. Yeah.
Well, this was about all the goings on in Malta. It seems like it's one of the most corrupt places in the world.
We're going to have to do business there with Hex. Can I ask you what your tips would be then for independent filmmakers aspiring, not perspiring, aspiring independent filmmakers? They want to make their first film, or they're about to make their first film, and their dream is to get it into FrightFest. What should they do?
Cast. Don't cast your mates. Get some decent actors. The amount of films we've seen, or I've seen, especially for First Blood, with great ideas, competently filmed, you know, just let down by shitey actors, or you know, people who can't act, overacting, mugging. It's just fundamental. Get yourself a decent cast, and you're halfway there.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's one of those things that doesn't necessarily cost the most money. You know, just a little bit of time and discerning. And what about sound quality? Is sound quality important? Or?
Very important, because people will forgive a slightly out of focus shot if you can hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And you know, filmmaking these days has been democratized because of the equipment's now so cheap and it's so good quality that there's virtually no such thing as a bad camera anymore. It's just put it in the hands of somebody that knows how to do it, how to use it. You know me. I make these stupid train films.
Awesome. Ian likes trains.
And I travel all over the world taking trains, but I've tried to move them on from, normally it's one chap standing at the line side with a camera, and the train comes along, he points it at the camera, and as the train goes past he does this, and he waits for the whole 1.5 mile train to go past, and you see all these wagons going past. So what I do is I'll go and do the same shot, but I do it with 4 cameras, because I've lived in the cinema since I was a wee boy. So I've got my establishing shot, my medium shot, my close-up, and I've tried to move it on. Now,
and Ian was there for the first time those shots were used as well.
well, you know, it isn't.
When whole movies were just one establishing shot for 80 minutes.
I got into cinema. My dad was the chief projectionist at the Plaza in Dundee, and he used to take me along on a Saturday afternoon to get me out from under my mother's feet. Seemingly I was a bit of a pest as a wee boy. And I used to sit in the projection box with him, and then I used to rewind these reels and then put them on the projector, and I could, at 7 years old, I could show a film.
Wow.
And that's kind of where my love of films started.
I mean that has always been, you know, your appeal to me. I mean, FrightFest has 4 organisers, great guys. You got Paul, you got Alan, you got Greg, and Ian, and they all do different things. But for me, your background in mobile cinema and community cinema, and then actual cinema, obviously from such an early age, as you say, and your support for independent film and first-time filmmakers means that this man is the one that you have to pester and annoy when you see him at events and festivals. Just all congregate around him.
Here's a tip. Beer works.
Beer works. And talking about trains also works as well. Indulging a love of trains.
And talking of which, this one's empty.
Yeah, I'm going to go and get this man a drink now. But I just want to thank you so much for speaking to us. Guys, at the bottom of the screen you'll see a link to FrightFest, which will have details for the event and also for submissions, which you should already know, but if you haven't, check it out and get your next projects in.
You keep doing what you're doing, because you're what kind of. There's a lot of people talk the talk and do fuck all, but you talk the talk and do the walk. You actually go and do stuff and turn stuff out. So keep it up.
Thanks, man. Hey. And if you're wondering what happened to our 4th FrightFest organiser, Alan, well, Alan Jones is a legendary character who does not enjoy interviews.
Yeah, I think he enjoys conducting interviews. He has spoken to some of the true greats, and he's a very close personal friend of Dario Argento and has followed his entire career. But, you know, when FrightFest is going on, Alan is insanely busy.
He is the busiest man ever. In fact, if you are an independent filmmaker and you decide that your best approach to get your film shown at FrightFest is by annoying Alan,
yeah, good luck.
my God, don't ever do that. So the FrightFest gang are an important establishment and institution in independent film in the UK. And to be honest, if you're a US filmmaker, then you need to apply for FrightFest as well. In fact, most do. Most of the program at the festival tends to be American films, and those American filmmakers make the journey. So if you are British, English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish, or a pixie, then you must submit your film to FrightFest, and you must do the legwork in creating a personal relationship with the organisers of the event. What these chaps have done for over 20 years has been to transform the genre filmmaking landscape in the UK. And if it hadn't been for their efforts, then so many filmmakers, such as myself, Sam Ashurst, and so many others, wouldn't have had a chance to get a break, which is transformative for their careers. And one such film being, as we were joking with Ian, and Ian being a fellow Scotsman has a caustic sense of humour like my own, when we were discussing Frankenstein's creature, which is, I think that's a film you made, Sam.
Indeed, yes. Yeah, when Ian was talking about the film that he didn't really like, that was my first film, Frankenstein's creature, and it's a very divisive film. You know, it got many amazing reviews and one bad review, so that's how divisive it is. But it is art house, it is strange, it is unusual, so it's not for everyone, and so that's why I didn't mind that Ian didn't like it. You know, he's sometimes our taste crosses over, sometimes it doesn't, but I still love him as a human being, so, you know, doesn't matter, does it?
It's okay, Sam. it's okay.
I've made a masterpiece, damn it.
And we distribute Frankenstein's creature. I think it's a great film. And do remember, and this is the case for every filmmaker, listen to this, watch this, and learn. If your film is in a festival, an important programmer liked it.
Yeah.
And another programmer might not like it, but the thing that's great about Ian is he is the one that will tell you without any restraint, I thought your film was shite, but someone else thought your film was incredible. And that's why Frankenstein's creature, which you're right, is a divisive film, which Hex Studios is proud to distribute, did have a home with another programmer. And it's to the testimony of FrightFest that they have such a diverse selection of films that cater to such a diverse set of tastes. So yeah, I hope you're proud of Frankenstein's creature. You deserve to be. And we're especially proud to play at FrightFest. And you were proud to do the catering at FrightFest.
Yeah. Chicken gouillons, chips, and squash, orange squash. I think everyone was happy.
So in that special respect, FrightFest has transformed each of our lives in distinct and special ways. Okay, so here we are outside the Glasgow Film Theatre, where it's cold and it's wet, but my good friend Tom Staunton seems to think that it's actually a nice day. It's romantic and lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. How so, Tom?
I don't know. I just think overcast days are really nice.
What do you think, Sam?
Bantering.
I think it makes the buildings look really nice, and it makes the windows look very welcoming.
Yeah, this is a quote from this man here.
Inviting.
Inviting. Well, for all of you watching this from around the world, this...
See how pretty those red lights look now?
Yeah, the red lights look wonderful. This is Scottish weather. Here we are. There we are. Thankfully though, Glasgow FrightFest makes up for the terrible weather with wonderful people. Isn't that right?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
This is not going in the film. This is awful banter from me anyway. Oh my god.
Oh, it just made the cut.
I just got a flash.
Yeah. I mean, the important role of these video inserts is as filler in between the interviews. So I'm sure you'll appreciate why we have to make these with our interesting banter. Right, Tom?
That's correct.
Tom!
Okay.
And now I am here with Tom Staunton, who is a good friend of mine. He's a writer and director who works with Hex Studios. And we're still here at this fabulous drinks mixer. There we are. Which is actually organised by BEC2, which is a union for film crew workers, which has been sponsored by the Glasgow International Film Festival, which is very hospitable towards FrightFest, allowing it to be a part of the event. And it has free wine, as we can see. Most of our filmmaking involves us sitting behind computers, trying. These are the brief excursions where we get to meet our fellow artists and have some complimentary beverages. Am I picking that up? You might not hear me, but hopefully this will still be part of the cinema verite experience of our video blog diaries. Oh, it's very busy here, Sam, isn't it?
It is very busy.
Pretty fucking hefty.
Hey, hi, Max.
Hello.
It's the back of Mike's head. There we are. Oh, it's Mike from Arrow. Oh my goodness.
This isn't going on YouTube.
I hate to tell you this. Go, it's everyone. This is what it's like at festivals as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and here we are. We've survived that mixer at the BEC2 party organised by the. They were, so that was very good. And we've had our Nando's chicken, haven't we, Tom?
Yes.
And now we're off to meet some filmmakers who are attending FrightFest at Wetherspoons, a popular discount pub chain. That's lovely. Isn't that great, Tom?
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this might seem like a useless insert in the video in between interviews, but we want you to experience every moment of our experience as we walk from a restaurant to a pub. So, yes, speak to you soon.
Bye.
So, we had the pleasure of speaking to a wonderful filmmaker, a good friend of ours, Paddy Murphy, who, like my good friend Tom, is also from the Emerald Isle.
That's right, Malta.
It's not Malta. So Paddy is an Irishman, and he directed The Perished, which was a very controversial film that, well, controversial but conscientious, because it tackles very interesting and serious themes, but in a delicate matter. But it did create a real star, and an exciting one, for which I applaud. So what was The Perished exploring? Well, I'll allow my good friend Sam to explore that theme.
Oh. Well, Paddy talks about it in the interview itself, so I don't want to go over ground he's covered. But I think the main thing that I found interesting about the Perished is that it's not didactic. It doesn't tell you what to think. It sort of allows you to project your own feelings onto it, and I think that's where some of the sort of controversial elements came in.
So the reason we're all wimping out so terribly and trying to talk about this film is because it explores abortion. So who better to allow to go through that minefield than the filmmaker himself, Paddy. And of course, incidentally, Paddy is also a director of one of the segments in our feature-length anthology film, For We Are Many. This was, or as should I say, a demon-themed anthology feature with 13 stories, and Paddy Murphy did an awesome short called Intervention, and that had Nicholas Vince as well from Hellraiser and Nightbreed. So just a clumsy segue, that product is also available, I think, at hexmedia.tv on pre-order, so do get the DVD and Blu-ray. But also, who should we see sitting next to us but another filmmaker from For We Are Many. Tom Staunton directed Breath and The Summoned.
That's right. That's right. So I directed those two. Breath is a story of a kind of a, what do you call them? A succubus, is that right? And a kind of a weird flatmate as well. And The Summoned is set in the wonderful Hex Studios church. And is about a kind of a haunted mirror that and a creature comes out of the mirror upon a spell being cast. And so
I can't believe you went into spoilers territory already.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler. Sorry. I mean, just watch it anyway. Just some great shots in it.
And on the For We Are Many disc, you have interviews with all of the directors, including Tom. And actually, I did the interviews, and I do state on record on the Blu-ray that Tom's 2 shorts were my favourite of the entire anthology. They are incredible shorts, so atmospheric, so creepy, and with clear, very cool influences. Like, I see a bit of Under the Skin in one, I see a bit of Paul Thomas Anderson. Like, they're amazing shorts, so you should check them out. Oh, there we go.
And popular British comedian Sandy Togsworth. So all of them a kaleidoscope of surreal horror. So I suppose we should go to our interview with Paddy now. Here we go. Hello there, it's Lawrie Brewster, the guy you've been randomly watching during the course of this video. And I am delighted to be joined by Paddy Murphy, a Celtic brother of mine from Ireland. I'm from Scotland, as you might imagine. And Paddy is an excellent and exciting independent filmmaker, one of the most conscientious filmmakers I know, whose films tackle very serious, interesting social issues and cultural issues, which is a cool thing to bring into independent horror films. And he's the director of The Perished, which is an ambitious film that is the most conscientious and topical yet.
I knew what you were up to! An abortion, Sarah!
I just wanted everything to go back to normal.
He's a great guy, I love him to bits.
Oh, thank you. Very, very kind words for somebody that doesn't deliver even those amount of kind words to themselves. It's weird because the first feature film that I made, the Three Don'ts, was kind of not a socially driven story. It was kind of just a bit of fun with my friends in the woods learning how to make films. And Hex, you guys gave us the shot at putting that film out for us and getting eyes on it. So a huge thing for us, and then it allowed me to say, okay, let's make something that's a bit more hopefully socially important.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and the exciting thing about the horror genre is that the scope of the genre allows for so many types of film. You can have things that are fun exploitation films that are funny, they're silly, they're whatever, but then you can also have these kind of more serious and interesting films. But to your credit though, The Perished, in my opinion, it's not a pretentious film. It tackles and explores these issues in a down-to-earth, authentic and approachable way.
Yeah, one of my favourite kind of things that I've heard about The Perished since it came out was a review by a reviewer named Joey Kyo, who said, she said the Perished is not a pro-choice film, it's not a pro-life film, it's a pro-empathy film, because it's about like looking at every person and the decisions that they're making for themselves and treating them all as nobody's right or wrong in the situation, it's how you're dealing with the situation itself.
I imagine when you're making a film that is exploring such a challenging and controversial subject, and one where people are very opinionated on so many divides, that you're exploring the subject yourself as an artist, that your own feelings as you explore the different ideas and themes will go through an evolution.
Oh, definitely, because like when I first started making it, it was definitely the first 2 drafts were like a real heavy-handed pro-choice kind of propaganda piece.
Yeah.
And then I went out and I started to interview people on both sides of it. There was a big, to kind of give some context to this, there was a big referendum in Ireland in 2018 about kind of rights for women to basically make choices for their own body. It was called the Repeal the 8th Referendum, and what I saw was people on both sides of the debate, as you say, online were very aggressive and vitriolic, and but then when you actually talked to these people in their kitchens and had a conversation, you understood why people were arriving at a decision on both sides, and that took me away from making it all about like what I wanted to say, and made it more about, oh no, let's portray the reality, which is people have multiple reasons for their decisions.
Exactly right. You know, the most interesting film, in my opinion, is one that has an intellectual curiosity, whereby it has a question and the film is looking for an answer. Not a film that assumes it knows the answer and then wants to preach it and lecture the audience.
It down on somebody. Yeah, that was never.
And it's cool that you had the humility though to recognise that as you made your film and before.
It was challenging because a lot of it was, again, I knew that I couldn't make The Perished if I went into it totally myself. Instead, I wanted to approach women because they're the ones that have dealt with this issue back home in Ireland. So I did a lot of interviews and a lot of, even with my cast, the lead actress Courtney McKeown, I allowed her kind of to some extent carte blanche to change things within the script, because I said, you know this stuff better than I do, than I ever will.
So you wanted to collaborate in order to create something that felt like an authentic female perspective.
Exactly.
But in collaboration with your own artistry as a filmmaker, as a visionary for telling the story.
And it was a challenging thing to make that. It felt like a very tough decision to decide to direct it myself, actually, because after I'd written it, there was a lot of I myself.
But you need to get paid, Paddy. You're like.
Does that happen?
You're allowed to direct it.
No, but
Paddy doesn't need to be so woke that he isn't even allowed to get a job directing the movie.
No, but what it was.
I mean, I'm a bastard, but he's an enlightened fellow. You know, he cares.
No, I do. But what it was.
Sam doesn't care. He's a son of a bitch. I mean, look at him.
Sam cares. We had great conversations last night. Sam cares a lot. No, but it is great when you see that filmmakers. I mean, I've been impressed by people like Sam and like going out and making films about subject matter that people are like, why the hell are you making a movie about that? Like, that's not necessarily what people jump to. They're like, it should be fun and entertaining and heartwarming. But as you say, like, genre cinema is a scope, and we tell all stories. So
exactly, and then that's one of the best roles we can fulfill as independent filmmakers, is to take chances telling the kind of stories that bigger commercial films
will never
wouldn't touch a barge pole.
No, which even when I went through the kind of submission process for funding with The Parish, there was a thing in my head that I was like, I don't think the funding body back in Ireland would ever touch a film that has these themes in a million years.
Man, no.
But at the same time, it was never going to stop us making it. It was that story that you. I'm going to really badly quote a good friend and a podcaster, Rebecca McKendry, who says, there are films that you just, if you don't make them, your heart will explode out of your chest.
Shameless name dropping. Yeah, so Rebecca McKendry works for...
well, she's Shockwaves. She's part of Shockwaves.
Shockwaves podcast, that's right, yeah. And also worth checking out. It's a really cool horror podcast.
It is, it's good. But no, I just thought that that's so accurate. Like, there's certain films that really do weigh on you. Like, if you don't make them, you actually get more upset almost day on day that it's not.
No, so one of the reasons I enjoyed The Parish, and that's one of the reasons I really respect you as a filmmaker with a unique voice. Right, we're going to move on from the political cultural stuff, because you made a goddamn horror movie. You know, it's not
running about monsters.
It's not running for election. It's not trying to be president. You've got a big boogly monster at the end.
Sure do.
Slimy, yucky thing. That looks awesome.
It was a lot. Like, I was a bit hesitant even about the idea of having a creature in the movie, because I knew that, like, because it is a very sensitive subject. But at the same time, the films that I loved growing up were films like The Brood. Hellraiser is probably my all-time favorite movie. I wore the VHS tape out, and I knew that I wanted a monster though that was not a clear antagonist. I wanted it to be more like this monster is just, it has a purpose of what it's looking for, and it's not evil.
And unfortunately, to explain much further about the monster would be going into spoiler territory, but it's fair to say that what you've created is a creature unlike any other that you would normally see in a horror film. and it's a slimy, yucky thing that that does have a level of compassion associated with it. It's cool. And the Brood and the Hellraiser is a great comparison as well.
Well, you always got to care for something in the film, so
Yes.
you care about the monster.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're dealing with all these social dramas
Yeah.
of people, but at the same time, if you just have a monster come in and start killing everybody, you don't care about that monster. But if you have a monster come in and it's not clear what it wants, then suddenly people really...
Because it's a character in the film, so it should be treated the same as everything else.
But even the location itself, the house, the parochial house in the parish is such an important character within the film that has to be treated with a certain... Every component has to be kind of handled with respect and love and make people give a shit about it.
Okay, Paddy, I'm going to ask you some nerdy questions now. Questions that will interest aspiring independent filmmakers. So, like, how many days did you shoot for? What kind of camera did you? What was your crew like, and all that?
This was our biggest production at Celtic Badger Media. It was one where myself.
Oh, that sounds impressive. When you say the company name, that makes me think like, does that mean they got a whole multi-pack of ice cream Mars bars for the catering, or?
We actually had no ice cream Mars bars. That was a disappointment.
Yeah, that's the champagne of indie film catering to get that. So.
No, it was the biggest because we basically myself and 4 other of the producers pulled every penny we had effectively into it. So it was to get even more technically, it was €25,000 budget. We shot for 12 days over kind of 2 months. So it was like a weekend on, weekend off, weekend on, weekend off.
Paddy got paid €24,000 out of that budget, though. I mean,
no, that
I'm only joking.
someday I'll make money somewhere.
Just me being a professional asshole. Don't worry about it.
There's slot machines around here where I can go make some money.
And what did you shoot on at all?
We were very lucky that Barry Fahey, who was the cinematographer, he has a red Scarlet Dragon, and he has a beautiful set of Sony prime lenses.
So that's Barry Fahey.
Yeah,
and he's your collaboration partner, really, isn't he? Yeah.
He's the other co-founder of our company, and he is cinematographer on everything I've made to date, I believe.
Well, even those strange restroom videos you did.
Yes, even those. He actually directed those.
There is no strange restroom videos, right? Rest assured.
Search deep enough and you may find them, I don't know.
And how many days did you shoot for?
I said 12. So
12 days,
we had 4 weekends, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the last weekend was one of my favourite of the whole shoot because that was all the creature stuff, all the monster stuff. We brought Paul McAvoy over from FrightFest. We brought Jonathan Barkan and Ariel Fisher over from the States. And what they were really there for was, these are people that live, eat, sleep and breathe horror.
Yeah.
So what we really wanted them there for was to tell us what we were doing wrong. Because I'm all about that. I don't profess to know.
You asked Paul, we should have asked Ian.
That's the mistake. Next film.
You know, I've never been to Ireland.
Oh, well, we got to make that happen.
Don't make that happen.
No, but it was great to have, like, there was a moment in the final act of the film that could have really been rubbish, being honest. But Paul and John and Ariel kind of pulled me aside and said, would you not consider doing this? Or that?
And Paul is Paul McAvoy, who is also one of the co-founders of FrightFest. He is a very flamboyant character.
That's a way to describe
Paul,
I'm sure.
I think you're an exciting and you're a successful independent filmmaker. You've got a lot of cool things happening. What kind of tips would you give to other aspiring independent filmmakers? What should they be doing?
Well, I don't know, like as an independent, you will always hit a wall where you decide, you have to make a very hard decision that, like, should I keep doing this? Can I keep doing this? My advice is definitely that, like, when you hit that wall, my first advice would be reach out to another filmmaker because they can sometimes be the thing that inspires you to go ahead and make the next film.
Like this?
Like this? No, but genuinely.
You're actually right. And that you're the first person that's ever said that. I wouldn't even thought of myself. But as a community, which is what we are as independent filmmakers, we're all in our own special way kind of mentally fucked. And so by supporting each other, it is, because it's a really challenging emotional journey.
And when you're making a film, you're I'm not going to say for a minute that you're ever almost in your right state of mind for that entire production.
Rarely are we in our right state of mind.
But it is, as you said, it's a community, and 9 times out of 10 there are people that will be able to help and uplift you beyond. And I think people have said to me, you hit that wall multiple times. For me, it's only been the one thus far. But, like, it doesn't matter how many times you hit it, just reach out to somebody and say, did you ever experience this? Were you ever stuck in thinking, I can't do this anymore?
Okay, I've got two more questions. 2 more and then we're done. So you've played at FrightFest before?
Yes.
Well, 2 times. Paddy's played at The Perished at London FrightFest and also produced one of the favourite short films of the anthology feature film our company Hex produced called For We Are Many. Has FrightFest made an impact on your career?
Beyond words, recognition, all that stuff, I wouldn't be making films still if it wasn't for FrightFest. And then I've learned in the last 6 months of touring with the film and taking it to other festivals that like the connections you make at FrightFest go well beyond FrightFest.
Yeah, so true, so true.
People that I've met at the festival have been like, if you're ever in such and such a town, crash at my house, which when you're an independent filmmaker and you're broke, it's a huge bonus.
Yeah.
But beyond that, would say outlets take you more seriously. For the Three Don'ts, we didn't get a lot of press, a lot of reviews, whereas The Perished, as soon as it was announced that it was going to be premiering at FrightFest, there was immediate interest in it.
Yeah.
There's definitely a credibility that comes along.
No,
with
definitely.
FrightFest.
And I was saying earlier to Ian in the interview, it made such a difference to us and my own films as well. So it says awesome. My last question. I don't know how much you're allowed to talk about this at all, but you've got exciting things coming up.
Which the
wink, wink. What are you up to next? Wink, wink. If you're allowed to say anything.
Well, no, I've submitted funding applications for a film back home. It's not that exciting. The funding application process was definitely not exciting. But no, the film that I'm trying to make is it's another horror film, which makes it difficult to get funding. But it's a period horror set in 1920s Ireland during the War of Independence, and it's the way I keep describing it to people in a way that keeps it relatively spoiler-free is it's Assault on Precinct 13 meets The Win, the Chicks, the Barley meets Hellraiser.
Well, that sounds excellent.
So
that really sounds cool.
It needs a lot of money. But I've also just made a found footage horror in December with a group of friends that is in post-production, and that'll be hopefully coming out later.
That's so you're not letting anything stop you. You're just rolling on, making art
never
with
again.
your friends. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Go out there and make art with your friends. You don't play Dungeons and Dragons though, do you, Paddy?
I do. I don't play it as much anymore because I can't seem to get good.
Paddy, I play Dungeons and Dragons as
we
well.
That's what we need to arrange next. Is just a Dungeons and Dragons hangout.
And we have sex lives, not with each other, but yeah, we can play Dungeons.
I'm glad you qualified.
Oh shit! I rolled a double six. Oh, no.
Oh yeah.
I know what that means.
Oh no. Well, thank you so much, Paddy, for chatting to us, and good luck with all the future stuff you're doing. So it's the next morning. We're on day 2 of our Glasgow FrightFest experience, and it seems like my voice has come back, and I'm looking a little worse for wear. It was a late night last night that ended at 3 in the morning because there was a fantastic party thrown by the festival. Apart from staying up late making independent films and never leaving the editing suite, we do sometimes get to celebrate with our fellow filmmakers, but we don't always survive in one piece. So this is me, my voice is slightly broken, hopefully about to come back when I have this coffee, and it's Tom. I don't think we really introduced Tom that well. So Tom is a filmmaker and writer who works with Hex as well. He's like the other chap with a beard, Sam Ashurst, a writer-director. How are you feeling this morning?
Pass.
Yeah, this was partly my fault because I forgot the checkout time for our Airbnb. So suddenly I had to kind of burst in with an air raid siren, already 10 minutes late, saying, "Hey guys, we have to pack up and go." You know, all 3 of us had to share a shower in 5 minutes. It was really embarrassing, but it's amazing how quickly you can wash your hair with 3 pairs of hands. Okay, and this is Sam. Sam, how are you feeling? You have coffee too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tracking shot. Yeah, I'm okay. I had a bottle and a half of, bottle and a half of Jack Daniels last night, so
You had a bottle and a half of Jack Daniels
I
last night.
counted it up when I got home.
Now, to be fair, although Sam is a filmmaker, he was in his former life a film journalist for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Writing for great publications such as Total Film magazine.
Yeah. Days,
Cosmopolitan.
Days, Digital Spy, many great publications.
And you know, journalists do drink, so that is a long and proud tradition. Although when we are working, he isn't drinking. It's a one chance, one chance to let us have our hair down. Those of us with hair, and well, let's just say that at our age, it takes a little bit longer to recover it for the next morning. But rest assured, when these coffees kick in and when we find other filmmakers to interview, we will be chatting to them. And when we are, we'll try to look at the camera instead of the giant red dot. But it's so hard, you don't understand.
So mesmerising, that red dot, mesmerising.
I'm looking at the red dot. This is me.
So perhaps the most important draw from that interview with Paddy Murphy was the confirmation that one can be a player of Dungeons and Dragons and still have a sex life. So you really enjoyed The Perished, Sam. You thought it was hilarious, great fun, a great first date movie, something that you should bring all your ex-girlfriends to as well.
Yeah, this reputation I'm gaining as some sort of ghoul is very much appreciated. I particularly enjoyed it when Paddy said that he respects me as a director because he used to think that films were supposed to be fun and entertaining, and obviously I go against that. Though in my own sick, twisted way, I do find my films fun and entertaining. And in a sick and twisted way, The Perished is enjoyable to watch.
Oh no, it is.
Like it should be a bleak, oppressive, really hard subject to tackle. And obviously it does have its dark moments, but the characters do bring it to life and they sort of carry you through the piece.
I mean, I should add that I am only joking about bringing your first date to see The Perished. The Perished is a tough movie, a tough watch, and that is exactly what Paddy sought out to do with his film. But in doing so, he has also produced a very unique and excellent horror film that will be challenging and will be divisive for a lot of horror fans, but for its audience, which includes us, there is great merit in that work and a lot to be enjoyed. We think Paddy is a brilliant guy, great filmmaker, and I suggest you check him out on Twitter to follow him and lend him your support.
This is it. You can only really do stories like this within the independent sector. If you want to tackle really unique and challenging and complex topics, then the independent sector is where you should probably go, and Paddy is really kind of leading the charge with his company, Celtic Badger, and they have some exciting things in development at the moment as well. So yeah, do keep an eye on what Paddy's doing. He is a really lovely guy.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny actually, when you think about it, when you talk about independent film being able to explore those subjects, True, because when was the last time Blumhouse made a film about abortion? Tom?
Never?
Yeah. Well, I hope you appreciate that lesson.
I do.
So, following that slightly awkward outro from our interview with Paddy Murphy, we go into an awkward intro for another interview, which we held with producer Joe Hallett of Paintball Massacre. Now, Paintball Massacre is a film that is in post-production and also features a favourite of ours, Nicholas Vince, an actor who has been in our own films, The Black Gloves, and was originally in Hellraiser and Nightbreed. So, Paintball Massacre is a film that Joe was talking about at Glasgow FrightFest to your good self, and it was all about trying to let people know that the film exists with the ambition to hopefully getting the film successfully submitted into August FrightFest.
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, that is another good tip for aspiring filmmakers. If you want to see your film at particular festivals, the best thing you can do is go to those festivals, support them, and talk to the programmers, talk to the promoters, and just get your face known so that when that film comes across their desk amongst thousands and thousands of other films, it may stand out. So, yeah, good on Joe for coming and supporting FrightFest.
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose just as a very quick segue, for FrightFest, there is 3 events. The main event is in August, which is in London. That is your top priority. And then the other priorities are the Glasgow FrightFest in partnership with the Glasgow International Film Festival, which is an incredible and important event in its own right. And then there's also a Halloween event organised in October by FrightFest, often for new films that came just before the closing date for the main event, and also for any films that they want to give a second chance that very nearly made the cut for the main event. So, check out all 3 of those events for your prospective film. And without further ado, Sam speaks to Joe Hallett and Nicholas Vince. Okay, we're back now and I've changed the zoom. Oh, but you need to get in a little bit closer, guys.
Oh my God.
2 big broad shoulders.
There we go. Go for it, Sam.
So, Joe, we touched on this a little bit off camera, but you were talking about working outside of London and how possible that is. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, obviously you get told a lot by a lot of the industry experts. If you want to get into this industry, actor, film, producer, director, you need to be in London. And I'm kind of against that just because I love Somerset, my roots. And actually I found a massive hub of filmmakers in Bristol. And also Cardiff, which isn't too far away. And obviously with such channels like Channel 4, and those guys bringing their productions down to this neck of the woods. And we've got a great hub of filmmakers there making short films and just getting together. And yeah, and I'm actually meeting London producers and actors that actually said, I've moved back down to where I used to start, and they're doing really well for themselves. So I think now with the power of social media and connections, yes, you've got to get out there. You've got to get into the capital, speak to the filmmakers, make these contacts, but you're able to do it as well from where you are. I think.
Fantastic,
definitely.
thank you.
But what's Channel 4 for our American audience?
What's Channel 4 for American
Is it not a channel that shows erotic films at 3 in the morning?
That used to be Channel 5, didn't
Channel
it?
5.
Channel 5, when it first started, to actually make its mark, started showing erotic, softcore porn, basically, late at night. Just so that, you know, because it's the days when literally we moved from 4 to 5 channels in the, you know, terrestrial channels.
Is that your dream, Joe?
To be a erotic films producer? I'm not sure, you know, I'm sure.
Your mother may watch this.
Yeah, think about that.
All our mothers might watch
My mum
those,
said
yeah.
to me, you know, I live in a house, a nice, quite a large property in my parents' house, and they say to us, you can use the property to film everything but not porn. Okay, that's it, you're out if you have. I'm like, okay.
It's good to get these ground rules
Yeah,
down.
part of,
down with your
part of the
children.
rental contract there.
Yeah. Have that conversation with your child at some point during its adolescence, probably.
Yeah, it's good.
Nick, you're not just here at FrightFest to watch the films.
Mhm.
You did a very special intro. Can
Yes.
you talk about that?
Yeah, so I did show the trailer for my one-man show, I Am Monsters, which played at the London Horror Festival last year, and to a sellout performance in Las Vegas at the end of the last year, and we're putting together some more dates for this year. So it was just a chance to show people, encourage them to join the newsletter, nicholasvince.com. And I'm going to keep on plugging that. And then the world exclusive was the cover to my next volume of short stories, Prayers of Desire, with a covered with illustration by Clive Barker of The Chatterer, because Prayers of Desire is my origin story for that.
And you mentioned Clive Barker. He was actually in attendance at your Las Vegas
He
show.
was. He was sitting there at the front of the row. It was so great because obviously a lot of it, because it's the story of my life and working with Clive, and the title of the show is I Am Monsters. So it's about the time, and I think we're all made to feel like monsters. At some point in our life, we all feel like a monster. And it's dealing with that, and also how reading, include 3 excerpts from 3 books, which I would have come to through movies, through the horror films. So yeah, it's about that and coming to terms with all that stuff. And it's a fun show. It's very funny and a little bit sad, a bit moving. Fun. It's got very good reviews so far.
Yeah, fantastic. And Joe, what drew you to horror?
It's quite interesting, really. I'm my background's a martial artist.
I knew you would say this. Remember when you mentioned the martial artist thing?
Yeah.
We're going to hear this every 3 seconds.
Every 3
aren't we?
seconds, yeah.
Oh, do tell us more, Joe. Tell us more about the martial artist and how it led you into a filmmaking career. There we go.
But yeah, it's quite funny because people say to me when I said I'm producing a feature film, they say, oh, it's going to be a martial arts flick, action. I went, actually, no, it's a dark comedy horror. And they're like, really, Joe? And I've come into horror quite late in my life, really. I've never been a huge fan of horror, but actually, when I come to FrightFest here, I was like, okay, I'm reading up the synopsis of the films in the book and just going, okay, let's see if that obviously I watched the premiere of Citronic, which I love. I think it's fantastic. If anyone, guys, check that out. I think it's coming out in the UK later this year. Met Justin, Aaron, the directors, fantastic guys, and I love horror that kind of plays with your mind, messes around with it a little bit. So yeah, not a huge fan of the massive blood and gore, but I love like the psychological ones. Fantastic. And yeah, definitely. I've enjoyed my first trip to Glasgow FrightFest.
And so that's really interesting. You say you came to it late. This isn't your first taste of horror, is it?
No.
Tell me about your first taste of horror.
But I suppose it goes back to my dad, because my dad loves horror, and he was begging me to come. I said to him, well, you can come to August. So, but yeah, I think The Exorcist was probably one of the first kind of horror films kind of thing I got, and that in a way scared the living daylights out of me. I was quite young. I think I was like probably 12 or 13 at the time. So yeah, those kind of films. And not to be gross enough, I think I have an acid issue, and when I was a kid I used to actually vomit like The Exorcist in the film. So and it was lovely, awful sight to think about. But yeah, acid issue and that, and everyone used to say you used I didn't know what they're on about till I watched the film, and I was like,
we thought you meant something different by your acid issue. We thought, whoa, this is going to take
not a drug acid issue, more of a gullet
that would be
issue
wild.
there. Yeah, let's just put that out there. Yeah, so.
And well, yeah, I'm kind of blown away by that.
You've clarified that.
And Nick, I've seen your one-man show. It's great, and like you said before, you connect kind of literature with your film experience from the rest of it. Are you a Lovecraft fan at all?
Oddly enough, I'm not.
Right. Okay.
I love his writing. Don't get me wrong. He's obviously a brilliant writer. I think him as a person, I have a lot of issues with. I saw a wonderful show year before last at the London Horror Festival stage show. I can't remember, but basically the premise was it was Lovecraft meeting the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe. And it was just two, I'm not saying it was one man, it was a 2-man show. I love the writing, his description, his storytelling is great, but it's the fact it always ends up with the old, the ancient monsters. I realised after I'd read about 3 of them, it's like, oh, it's the same punchline. Now people love it, I get it, I really understand how people, because he evokes fear and eldritch, and I've seen some really good stuff. In fact, I was at the recent film, The Colour Out of Space, Richard Stanley's film. And it was really interesting, and he has some really interesting concepts. So it's not all the old gods. That was kind of my impression. Do I still have a copy of the Necronomicon? Possibly not. It's a big, thick book.
So basically, Nick is going to be pretty useless in the promotion of our latest anthology feature.
I was about to say exactly that.
Focuses on the tales of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, I know. As the words were leaving my mouth, I could lie, but then he's going to ask a deeper, more probing question, in which case...
No, never.
I could have just lied in other words. Okay, fair enough. Yes.
It's ironic, though. It's ironic that Nick says that he doesn't like the character of H.P. Lovecraft, but loves his stories, because for Sam it's the opposite. You don't like Lovecraft stories, but you love the man, his beliefs. And
this is getting cut. Because that's not true. Dear sweet audience.
So a question for you, Joe. Which aspect of horror culture do you find the least evocative?
Well, that's a good question. That makes me think. That is a hard one. Yeah. I think.
What do you find most evocative?
Evocative. That camera getting
Joe,
close to my
I'm
face. Putting that pressure on, isn't
I'm trolling, Joe. Joe, that is not a question you need to answer.
No.
That's my classic stump question.
Yes. But what I think about horror, I also think.
No, we're going to cut you there because it's just a joke question.
Oh, joke question.
Let's ask about your film. So for everyone at home,
sitting here watching.
Tell us the name of your film and what's happening next with it, so that people can see it.
Okay, it's called Paper Massacre. It's a dark comedy horror. I think I describe it as Hot Fuzz meets Dog Soldiers. If you've seen Severance, it's kind of going down that route. A group of friends go on a school reunion, and they go paintballing. And I think a lot of people can obviously relate to that, because most people have gone paintballing in some sense of stag do's or birthdays. But this one's a little different, doesn't go to plan, and there is a killer on the loose. I don't want to leave, I'll just leave it there. But it is comical, it is funny, but
You've got Katie Brandon.
we have some amazing cast in there. We did mention Lee earlier, Lee from Steps, and he is a really good actor, and he's very talented,
really nice guy.
and a lovely guy, very humble. So when people say, well, we got a guy from Steps, and first, it's funny, the first week we did do the old jokes, the 5, 6, 7, 8 and stuff, and he did come to us like, stop that. But no, and the Katie is amazing.
You realise there's another paintballing horror film that has a star from S Club.
I didn't know that.
So
That's
that could be competition.
Oh, okay. I think ours is better.
Is that coming out?
Yeah.
No, that's
we got British comedian actress Katie Brand, who's amazing, really funny. She's in charge of the paper facility, and so we've recently put out a teaser trailer, which is being released by Britflix. If you go on YouTube, put in Paper Massacre, you'll find it. And at the moment, I'm here at FrightFest networking, speaking to various people.
So the next stage for you will be trying to get
distribution and sales. And into festivals, exactly. So I'm putting into festivals now. I'm new to this game. I'm a new first time producer, so it is learning the craft and where to go and take your film, get it to the right people. But I'm just excited to let everyone see what we've created as a film. And Nicholas is fantastic behind the bar. He's a bartender. Somerset. He sets the tone for the film with a spooky story.
I mean, Nick's been needing the work recently, so it's good that you can get the footage of him working in bars, hotels.
If you want to hire, go to my website, nicholasvince.com, and my manager's contact details are there. So please email him, and he'll let you know my availability. fees, all these important things. Yeah, actor, darling.
And where can we find out more about your movie, Joe?
And so if you just go on, if you're on the socials, Facebook, if you just search for Paintball Massacre Film, or Instagram _Paintball Massacre Film, or Twitter @PaintballMass, any of them, you get the latest information on there. Actually, a behind the scenes little clip went on yesterday, so we've released that, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more news coming from it, and we'd love to hopefully have it out sometime later this year. It'll be fantastic.
And Nick, I mean, you'll have plenty of fans anyway, but how can any new fans who've just discovered that you're a horror icon follow your work at all?
Follow my work, yeah. Facebook, Nicholas Vince. I'm there. Twitter is Nicholas_Vince. Instagram, Nicholas J. Vince, but I haven't posted there for ages. Mostly you'll find me on Facebook, except for the last couple of months when I've been offline most of the time. Just concentrating on writing stories for the next volume of. It's a great thing, you know. You need to keep people interested and engaged in what you're doing.
You got to do work
but
as well.
literally got to write. It's like I find juggling that very hard. It's like I just bury myself into my little pencil, and you know.
Me and Sam, we've shared time and money by just sharing one adult friend finder account for our fans. That's
quite easy, isn't it?
Yeah,
I didn't know there was.
I found it quite hard myself because I've got my personal account and my business account all linked, and sometimes you're posting and
Joe, nobody wants to hear this, Joe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Joe.
Should we cut there?
Yeah. We're getting to the end. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
for your time.
No worries. Thank you guys. Take care. Pleasure.
Tom can do that.
Well, that was a charming chat with Joe Hallett and Nicholas Vince. I think one of the interesting things we discussed in that interview was Nicholas Vince's own one-man theatre production.
Yes, I Am Monsters. Now, it played in London last year. I was lucky enough to go along, and it's kind of an amazing look into a very, very unique and iconic presence in the British horror film industry. Nick has supported independent cinema, independent horror cinema for a very, very long time, and you get an insight into why through this one-man show. He talks about how he connected to horror and how horror helped him get through certain elements within his own personal life, and so it's really interesting and moving, and you don't have to know Nick personally to enjoy it, because by the end of it you will feel like you do know Nick personally. It's a very open and revealing show, so I'm hoping it will play again soon. I think he's wrapped up the tour for now, but who knows, maybe there'll be another chance to see it this year.
Oh yes, and it's remarkable to hear Nicholas talk about his experiences working with Clive Barker on Hellraiser and again on Nightbreed, and as you say, about the personal trials and tribulations of pursuing the acting craft for so many years. And I think the audiences can ask questions at this show as well.
Yeah, there's questions afterwards, and that can throw up some completely off the wall and unique things as well. So certainly at the show that I went to. So if it does tour again, or if there is another chance to see it this year, I highly recommend going along.
So yes, excellent one-man show, which perhaps explains why your audition for I Am Monsters was unsuccessful.
Yeah, I'm just too grotesque.
No, just because they would expect Nicholas.
That's true as well.
You're not grotesque. Why would you jump to say you're grotesque? You're lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, so one other thing as we move perilously towards increased awkwardness is one word that you can never use. We were chatting to Joe Hallett, who was very excited to get his film out there and to talk about the work that he's doing as a producer. And he's a young producer. This is relatively new for him. And there's one word you can never use when you are at film festival events or even trade shows or anything. Can you guess what that word might be? I think you'll know it, Sam.
It is networking.
Networking. I think the reason the word networking isn't deemed appropriate really is because it adds a superficial commercial aspect to the relationships, which for independent film and for especially the horror genre require a lot of humour and a lot of emotional authenticity.
Yeah.
And with Joe, of course, he wants real relationships, and then we could see that. But by bandying the word, we advised them, and we advise all of you that it has a different connotation among creatives and within independent film and the horror community.
Because this is it, like I'm in this industry for many reasons. You know, I want to get my art out there is number one, but number two is I want to make friends who love film as much as I do. And yeah, if someone comes up to me and it's like, oh, great to network with you, I just think they want something from me, and you don't make that connection. So Lawrie is exactly right. Avoid that word at all costs, because we want to be your friend, not your contact.
Sure, exactly. And likewise, why I'm in the industry as well is to collect the souls of so many children. So many children.
Should we wrap this up, or should we?
Oh, I'm sorry. Has your taxi arrived? Oh, I do apologise.
Just want to get you off the topic of collecting the souls of children, if that's all right.
That's better than Tom. He collects the limbs of children. But never mind. But you make a fabulous stew. He does.
And a belt.
Fine. Go on, Sam. Lead on with the outro.
Well, I guess we'd like to thank you for watching all of this. We know it's a long video, but we just love going in depth on the film industry, and you can expect quite a lot of long videos on this channel. And next time we're going to have another feature-length exploration of another film festival, which Lawrie and I are lucky enough to both have films at. It's Starburst, and that's next weekend as we record this. And Starburst, you've been before. It's a lovely festival, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, the Starburst International Film Festival is based in Media City in Manchester. And as this video goes live, you will still have time to get tickets to go and see films there. Starburst is a venerable publication which has covered genre cinema for decades. And now that they have organised their own film festival with a very heavy focus towards the promotion of independent cinema, I cannot suggest enough that you immediately, after following our channel as a subscriber, go to their website and buy a ticket so that you can see me and Sam.
And Michael and Sarah.
Drunk. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you again next week. And this is how we looked heading back from Glasgow FrightFest. Yeah. It's been a great time. We hope you enjoyed the video of us on our film festival travels, and we look forward to updating you soon on our next filmmaking adventure. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
So folks, thank you so much for watching. Please hit subscribe and the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our future videos, which will cover filmmaking and our own adventures as we build an international horror film studio. Also, if you would like to support our channel, then please visit our Patreon, where you'll get additional insights and exclusives. Thank you so much, and goodbye.